And you can be a part of their years as well. Tickets are still on sale for SWC at the moment. Head over to hi-rezexpo.com to get your tickets. And if you use the exclusive 25% off code of Group-A, make sure you use the A, sorry, the dash, not just the A. Make sure you use the dash as well. And you can also get cheaper tickets and 25% off to come and join everybody there.
It's going to be, I mean, SWC is always exciting.
It's amazing.
It's amazing. hi-rez Expo as well. We're going to have the Paladins World's Finals as well. Going to be bringing teams from across the globe there. Something you really don't want to miss out on. And by the way, I'm a Yingming now. Playing Paladins lesson. I'm a Yingming now. I'm that guy. Sorry.
That's like being a Guan main when he first came out.
It really
is. Just so you guys at home know and realize that if you don't play any Paladins at the moment, you should do because it's free. On top of that, though, we are going into set 2 today. Very important set for both these two teams. eLevate, they are out, but they can be party poopers here at Dardez and take Dignitas with them. They can, and there was a lot of question marks, I think, about nulisa coming into this tournament, but she has completely turned them around, right? A lot of confidence in her play. Her Giannis has been absolutely devastating. This is not the kind of play we saw from nulisa in the online stages, I think, but this new nulisa is really working well with their team, and it's someone that I think Dignitas is going to have to pay attention to.
nulisa, first actual girl to ever play competitive. I think that she brings an interesting flavor to her team, if anything. She seems really consistent, and I think that she's going to do well.
She's always had this potential to be a pro player, but she's never really found that way in. But now that she has, I think she's got good stuff to come.
The only girl in SPL, she's pretty good. I like the way she farms, but I'm not sure how she team fights and stuff. It's not my kind of playstyle at least.
nulisa, the first girl to play in the SPL. All what I can say. The NIF skills showed there's the true power of girls in SPL.
nulisa, I mean, yeah, she's a really strong mid laner. I mean, that's why we picked her up. I mean, she plays really well and has a good, solid god pool.
Yeah, we actually played with her as well, like when we were looking for a mid laner, and she's a really solid player. And I respect her a lot, like for how much she's progressed from, like, because she was in the Combine when I did it as well. And she entered the SPL just like I did. Like, it's a great way to get in.
A lot of respect for that mid laner in nulisa from all the pros here. But ShadowNightmare is her opposition today, and he is one of the most all-round balanced mid laners we have, Taco.
Yeah, Shadow, as everyone's pretty well aware of, he's always been that consistency factor that Team Dignitas has needed, as well as probably one of the most confident players on Dig. I don't think he's ever really struggled in a LAN environment. He's always come out, he's always performed, and had strong performances at that. And I think more than anything, when you combine those two factors, he's definitely something for eLevate to worry about.
ShadowNightmare, he's kind of like the voice of the team a little bit. Like when we're winning or when we're losing, he's kind of the guy that like speaks up and says like what we can do or like how we can improve. He's really like the kind of spearhead for our team, you know, during anything like a scrim or anything. He just will say like, we got to do this better, we got to do this better. Like, he keeps making us push ourselves to get better. So.
Cannot win an argument with this guy, but he has really like strong mid lane control. A lot of other mid laners struggle at times to deal with his pressure.
ShadowNightmare has got a good personality. We kind of lost our touch, you know, we were good friends. He's one of the better players in mid lane, and he has a lot of potential.
I love ShadowNightmare. He's really fun. Even though it's been a while since we actually hung out, he's always a great guy. I think he's done well, all things considered. He's never really had even a down period. I think he's always been consistent, always done what he has to do.
I think he's a great player. One of the like theory crafters in EU. Like, he's always ahead of the mid laners with builds. Like, he always wants to improve his builds and create new ways, which is like just a great thing to have on a team.
Well, that's ShadowNightmare here, and we discussed eLevate here. Can knock Dignitas out of the tournament as well with a 2-0. But Dignitas and Dardez have their destiny in their own hands in the next two sets.
They've got matches against eLevate and then against Orbit following that. If they do 2-0 both sets, they will qualify, but that is not an easy feat. I think this is definitely the team they want to face off first against an eLevate who now can't qualify. I think they're going to be pretty demoralized after that, and I don't expect them to play at their fullest potential.
How about you, Taco? Do you think that's going to be the same state? I guess that's what you're kind of hoping for as a Dignitas substitute for the team.
I don't want to, you know, completely throw eLevate under the bus here. I still think that they're going to try and play despite the tilt from knowing that they're not no longer capable of, qualifying. I think they still want to try and play up to their potential and at the very least, give Dignitas a run for their money.
Well, on top of this, Adonis, I mean, we saw the picks and bans from Sanguine earlier on against eLevate, and we saw what eLevate pulled out. Do you reckon there's any other pocket strats eLevate could try and run here?
I don't think there have been I don't think there's been any strats for eLevate, to be honest.
Hades?
Like, I think they've just been picking very comfort picks, but even Hades is a comfort pick for MoGoW. Also has a really good matchup in lane against Kuang. I don't think that was fully utilized. And I think they're just going to play what's comfortable to them. When it comes down to fighting, that's what eLevate does well. So pick gods that just fight well.
Well, Fafnir and Giannis have been banned out. Terra has been left available, though. Do we expect to see eLevate draft this?
I wouldn't be surprised to see eLevate draft Terra, but at the same time, Sobek is also still on the table. Dardez has looked pretty comfortable on that Sobek so far this weekend, yet there it goes, actually. I know my EUs. I know my EUs.
And this is also, like, Terra is a great aggressive support. We see Trix Tank play it sometimes, although I think it was Zaylee who played it earlier earlier in this tournament, but it doesn't do the damage that Dardez likes to have. We see him play kind of this carry style, even on the Fafnir that Dignitas banned away. He jumps onto the back line. He's talked about how good it is against immobile mages who can't get away from him, and the Sobek's kind of the same deal, just a lot of damage in that kit, fits his playstyle better than the Terra.
Well, a very early pick of Anhur here for Dignitas and Raijin as well. So that already tells you Suntouch is getting a priority god for the Hunter role.
Yeah, I think Suntouch, he really wants to have that early aggression. So far, we've seen Jermain and Arkil on these more aggressive Hunter Hunter roles. Even Funballer, with the Artemis pick, he's been able to have a bit more aggression and dominance in the lane. But I really like what they're doing here with the Serqet pocket pick coming out from FrostiaK. I think it's the perfect pick to match up against the Kuang. They're letting MoGoW get his comfort pick of Erlang, but at the same time, I like the synergy that's going to be able to come out from this Raijin Serqet. The
Serqet versus the Kuang is going to be the key to this matchup. I think DJ Pernicus actually the first one to really bring Serqet into the forefront as a hard counter to Kuang. You obviously have not only the dot from the ultimate where it's going to reveal him through the stealth, but because he's a mage, if you find him without purification once, you get that taunt off and then combine it with a Deathbane. If you have crits online, like you're going to one-shot that Kuang, which is what you need to do, right? You can't let Kuang just come in and out of fights without just completely decimating them.
Well, we mentioned the mid lane is how important they're going to be for both these two teams here, but with these picks of Kuang and Serqet, I mean, yes, Serqet can deal with Kuang well, but it's such an individual matchup between FrostiaK and WorldEdit now.
Well, I think one of the most important things to take note of is if you look at the bans for Team Dignitas, they took away Giannis, they took away Vulcan and Zeus. These are all picks that like nulisa has displayed like confidence on, that she's comfortable with. They also drafted the Raijin for themselves, so there is Isis still left open on the table, but do you really want to be picking that Isis into a Serqet?
I almost want to see the Agni. I think it was you who talked about it on the desk the other day, where Agni would work really well for her here. Obviously, a lot of mobility with the dash as well. You're going to want that against a Serqet. Serqet does excel against Isis. You're going to be able to silence her out with your ultimate, and even if she's charging up protections and heals, she's not going to receive any of it.
Well, eLevate have 2 picks remaining, and they're having a long, hard think here about what they're going to run in the mid lane, and the Hunter role as well. Rama is available, so I guess we kind of expect the Rama here.
Yeah, I would say that you expect the Ram, but at the same time, Anhur's got that dominant lane pressure coming out, and Dig still have their support option left open, so if he picks the Ram, it leaves him susceptible to that Ymir pick, which could definitely be something for him to worry about. Athena as well is still on the table, so Ullr actually going to be coming out. Jermain's flexing that god pool right now.
No, he's not. No, he's not. Nulisa's flexing that god pool.
So at first I thought the Neath was going to go mid. I felt like that's something Nulisa can play at a very high level. Neath in mid also works really well when you're trying to gank the side lanes. If Serqet shows up in a lane, you're going to have that guaranteed stun and damage. I mean, obviously, unless it's body blocked. But the Ullr mid is a little bit different, and I don't think we've seen her play this yet.
Do you think the reason she switched off the Neath there as well is because she heard what FrostiaK had to say about her Neath plays earlier on, and went, actually, no, I'm going to show you deeper than that.
I hope she just like stuns FrostiaK coming out of the jungle, full combos him to death, just completely outplayed. That's what I'm waiting for.
And an Ares final pick for BigManTingz there on the side of Dignitas. Well, that's an interesting one, because Ares in lane is a very interesting pick in this situation?
Ares on her, though. That is a pretty dominant lane, and Ares is also an excellent counter pick for the Sobek.
And does pretty well against Kuang as well, Dennis.
It does. You can obviously cripple him out, the dots come through, and Ares just does so much damage to a mage that it's going to be hard for him to escape. Going off this draft, though, I've got to give it to Team Dignitas. eLevate, they're too reliant on their own individual skills here. They have an Kuang, 2 hunters, and really not the best peel.
So you're for Dignitas in this one. Taco, I'm guessing you're going Dig, I guess.
Of course.
You sure?
I
don't want to change your mind?
Difficult decision here, but I think I'm going to have to go with the boys.
Well, can Dignitas here keep destiny in their own hands? F.Toley, talk us through this game.
Well, we've got eLevate here, like Kevin said, a lot of the individual skill coming through. Kuang, I'm looking at the Sobek. Obviously, I'm always looking at the Sobek.
The Sobekitude is real.
But when it comes down to it on a serious note, I think Dardez pilots his Sobek very strong, and you and I were talking again off screen. Fafnir has been prioritized by eLevate because it's the better god, and I'm not disputing that. But I feel like eLevate in general plays better with the Sobek, especially when Dardez goes the hyper-aggressive blink.
He loves to get that blink at level 12. It's the surprise oopsie-daisy play that he's been so successful at, and the damage is there from eLevate. The question is, can they execute with this composition? There's more crowd control, I would say, coming out of Dignitas to force out the purifications between Big Man on the Ares, FrostiaK on the Serqet, and Ducky playing the tier.
You know, I'm very interested to see how this one goes, totally, because it's really going to show us who eLevate is. eLevate are out of competition. They cannot make it through to Super Regionals. That's it. They're done. They're here to play spoiler against Team Dignitas. And when you're in that situation as a player, there are 2 ways your mind can go. You either get really down on yourself, you get upset, you just sort of like go through the motions and hope the game ends pretty quick. Or you say, all right, hey, there's no pressure. I can just be myself. Looking at nulisa on this Ullr, I'm kind of feeling that's the thought process for her. Ullr is one of the harder gods to play in the game. We haven't really seen her play something as demanding as this with no pressure on her. I'm expecting some hot plays.
This is surprising because normally we see her when Homie Faye or Anister Snoopy play this Kuang Ullr combination. So maybe this is a little bit of coaching coming out of Anister, trying to give some strategies to eLevate and allow nulisa to get some sort of snowball rolling on. Maybe she's feeling very confident mechanically right now, so she's just going to go for a home run here.
Yeah, nulisa is friends with a lot of the North American guys, a lot of the North American teams, specifically Andy's here in support. We saw some other players here as well, so certainly might be a little bit of the North American strategy shading over to the European scene. We'll see how it works out. The Kuang and the Ullr combination certainly very strong, but right now, not going in nulisa's favor. A lot of damage coming out from ShadowNightmare on the mid lane Ullr.
FrostiaK making the rotation for those right side mids, but eLevate going to secure their own 1-for-1 so far. Not really going to be looking for the engagement as Dignitas, they're going to rotate over for those Fire Giant Elementals.
And Dignitas should get these no problem. MoGoW takes a peek. That's really all he'll be able to take, not much of anything else. Beautiful damage coming out onto Suntouch. Despite the chains out of BigManTingz, eLevate still able to put the Hunter down below half HP. Trouble for the Serqet, jumping forward to nulisa, trying to find the basics, and Dignitas are gonna shade over here from the dual lane, but WorldEdit finds it! Mid lane jungle combination, getting it done.
But Dardez on the left-hand side, he's in so much trouble. He gets taken away. WorldEdit, he's trying to find another kill, finds Suntouch in the process, and now BigManTingz, he has nowhere to go. This is going to be a 3rd kill for an Kuang in the early game.
WorldEdit, one more shot will do it. A little bit of distance, and WorldEdit waiting.
He needs that 3rd kill. He gets it. That's the snowball you need coming out of an Kuang.
And this is what I was talking about, totally. With no pressure on the squad whatsoever, out come the individual power picks. WorldEdit, nobody's looking at him to really carry a game, so of course that's exactly what he's going to do.
Already, not even 2 minutes into the game, Shoes of the Mad Guy being completed. I expect eLevate to go full-on aggressive here. They're going to start invading completely. WorldEdit's going to hit level 5 very soon. FrostiaK's Purification is still down, so look for that target.
But he's got a 600 gold lead on the Serqet across the way. Dignitas in a little bit of trouble here. Dignitas now. MoGoW even gets a solo kill onto Ducky. The Duck is certainly going home.
The Duck is not coming today, unfortunately. Jermain V-yelling away from BigManTingz and Suntouch. No fear in the world. And now with Dardez here, Suntouch has to run away.
I love how quickly Jermain is ready to turn around. I feel like Jermain wants to turn around 1v2, realizes he can't, but as soon as he gets to go ahead from his support, he's down. WorldEdit in some trouble, and ShadowNightmare just gets him caught out.
just not being with his teammate, unfortunately. You have to be holding hand in hand right now. nulisa needs to be closer to WorldEdit, but at the same time, WorldEdit has to recognize, like, okay, I'm a little bit too far out. The Raijin, he gets marked. WorldEdit gets marked, so every time he water illusions away, he's going to get spotted out, and that's exactly what happened. Easy cleanup kill.
Yeah, that for me, that was WorldEdit a little bit excited about his 3 kills, just kind of, you know, feeling himself, as we say.
I mean, to be fair, if nulisa was there, that's going to be 2 free kills, right?
Sure.
He was level 5 on the Kuang. FrostiaK's Purification was still down. That could have been an easy kill, but instead, it's going to be Dignitas killing WorldEdit, shutting down any sort of momentum he started off with.
Either way, eLevate quickly off to a tear, about 1,000 gold lead above their opposition, and it's all about relative gold, right? With 3 minutes on the clock, that 1,000 gold is actually a really big notification. 800 to a K, depending on wave to wave. That's actually a really big deal for eLevate to be this far ahead at this point.
Like we were talking about last game, it's all about what you do with the gold, and this time around, it was the shoes to the Magi for WorldEdit. Unfortunately, he was a little bit too impatient to try to make a play happen by himself. This time around, he's now waiting for the right opportunity. MoGoW being aggressive in the solo lane, trying to wait for him to come out of the tower line.
Not going to happen, so WorldEdit will just go ahead and clear out that blue buff down there on the bottom. Now, here's one of the things. There's a fine line between being too patient and being just the right level of aggression. Level 6 on the tier, he'll be able to walk away. But so WorldEdit got those 3 kills and then tried to make something happen that really wasn't there. How long can WorldEdit really wait without another kill? Or does he have to keep the momentum going?
He doesn't have to keep the momentum going. He's in a good spot because normally Kuangs, they can't get away with being that aggressive. But in mid lane, a lot of aggressive onto FrostiaK. He's forced to just wait behind as Dardez is here. It's going to be a 2-on-2 as WorldEdit. He's still trying to make a play in mid.
MoGoW still rocking this over here. We haven't talked much about the solo lane, Anatoly. Why don't you break down the Erlang Shen versus the tier matchup for us?
Tier really struggles early on up until he hits level 7. Once his power cleave starts healing him quite heavily, and that's exactly why MoGoW was able to get that solo kill earlier on. The Root Cripple completely shuts down Tier's potential to clear the wave also, because if you catch a mid Fearless, you can't group up the wave, you can't clear the wave, and that gives you a mini wave advantage for MoGoW.
And that's why we've seen MoGoW really control this lane. And, you know, it's interesting. There's not much heal inside of the kit from Erlang Shen, outside of the ultimate, of course, but that death's toll, coupled with the way the basic attack chain works, allows him to stay competitive against a tier with a giant heal.
If you can shut down an enemy's god potential to clear by finding that cripple, that's all you really need to do, because you can even run Ares in the solo lane to shut it down. But Ares, BigManTingz not finding the chain, unfortunately, and revealed his strategy now.
I like the hot play, unable to really make this one happen. FrostiaK over to the right-hand side, but unfortunately for Team Dignitas, MoGoW already forced into his defensive retreat.
WorldEdit and nulisa in mid lane against ShadowNightmare, not really wanting to commit to that, despite knowing the fact that FrostiaK was on the right-hand side. But now with the rotation from the Serqet, just waiting casually, going to jump on over, ulti onto WorldEdit, but nulisa going to jump away.
And a nice ejection coming out from eLevate right there. So WorldEdit pop Purification and just get out of jail. And then nulisa jumped over the wall to make sure she wasn't the secondary target swap. Lovely response from eLevate, and an instantaneous one too. If that Purification waits a half a second to another second, that's a dead out Kuang.
But not only that, nulisa's Purification was used in fear that she was going to be the one targeted after that ambush from FrostiaK. So there's a good power play right now for Dignitas to just wait for the ultimates back up from FrostiaK and ShadowNightmare and try again. But at the same time, WorldEdit and nulisa, they could look for a play with WorldEdit's ultimate.
Yeah, the Raijin ultimate coming through. You kind of always have to burn your Purification just in case. Dardez getting caught out one more time. That seems to be the motif today, unfortunately. The support for eLevate has not been very safe. Does get out of there that time around,
Smart play from FrostiaK, not jumping over there for the support kill. He might have been able to find it, but it definitely would have sacrificed his life. A little bit of a trade in the solo lane between Ducky and MoGoW, and as long as Ducky stays in the defensive stance, he'll win this trade out, unless WorldEdit shows his face.
WorldEdit's instead going to look for the Fire Elementals. They go the way of the Serqet, however, and now WorldEdit likely to fall. Nice missed chain. He's invisible for the moment, but there comes ShadowNightmare, and BigManTingz gets credit for it with the last hit.
It's all about the damage over time to spot out this Kuang. They have the tools necessary to really spot it out. They have the chains, the flames, they have the mark coming from ShadowNightmare. Even the ultimate from FrostiaK will be able to spot him out, especially if he goes Bluestone Pendant here. That's going to continue on the damage over time.
Here's the ultimate one more time. Dardez caught out again. And FrostiaK puts number 4 on the board to even up eLevate and Dignitas.
It just doesn't seem eLevate is able to really get the snowball after their first 3 very early kills. They've been giving up too much room for Dignitas to get back into this game right now. No invades were coming out. They were just staggered deaths one by one in the mid lane because of how confident they were.
And ShadowNightmare on this Raijin, I mean, ShadowNightmare just one of the perennial mid laners here, not just here at this LAN, but I think in general, when it comes down to SPL mid laners, ShadowNightmare is certainly one of the better players when it comes down to it, and he make no bones about it. If he sees the opportunity, he's going to go for the kill. Always, always aggressive.
He's not afraid to play these mechanical gods, known for his Kukulkan and Raw in the earlier seasons of Smite. Now even playing the Nox, the Scylla, even the Scylla without the purple pot at level 1. He feels very confident about landing these skill shots, and we saw just how dominant of a performance he had. I think it was in day 1 with the Scylla.
And you know that's interesting because I saw a lot of the response from the fans started talking about, like, everybody says Scylla's weak and she's clearly not. No. Let's get things where they are. Scylla is not exactly the strongest god in the world, but ShadowNightmare's individual gameplay brought that win. It was less about the character and more about what Shadow was able to do with it. And I think that's really the key to bring home.
It's all about how you play with your teammates. Just because a god might not be good in ranked doesn't mean it's not good in competitive. As Suntouch trying to just poke out Jermain, get some lane control. He's up a level right now. He wants to deny maybe some golden experience onto Jermain.
WorldEdit going to flash away. However, ShadowNightmare is going to do the same as Dardez is able to get a nice pluck onto the mid laner. nulisa following up with some damage. WorldEdit going to chase the solo lane fight. Ducky and MoGoW are here, half HP onto the solo lane. Ducky going to flip away as he sees the Kuang come into his field of vision.
And perfect timing to use that Lawbringer to prevent himself from getting taunted by MoGoW. They're keeping himself alive ever so slightly. But now it's going to be Dignitas making the rotation, trying to see if they can catch WorldEdit going back into his speed buff. Level 9 right now, a level behind FrostiaK despite having such a nice early lead.
I like the play from Suntouch here. There's 4 players in Dignitas jerseys on the right side. So what Suntouch does, he's got a little bit of time to burn. He wants to look towards those back camps, but he takes the long way around, going directly through the Gold Fury. The response to having a heavy presence on the right side of the map is to go for the gold. So Suntouch takes a different path just to make sure that eLevate aren't going to go for that objective, and then he returns right to lane.
Especially with Jermain going for the Devil Gloves, having the lifesteal makes it very easy to get the Gold Fury at this stage of the game. MoGoW getting Fearless under the tower, but just using that turtle form, getting the shield health, going to negate a lot of that poke. And with WorldEdit still here, he hasn't been able to make these plays.
Yeah, WorldEdit, and this is a problem that we see junglers have from time to time, trying to decide when to go for the kill versus when to just farm up. Ares pull, just negated, no problem.
Similar to yesterday, how FrostiaK was playing the Thor. We saw him get off to a great start. I think he had 5 kills, 1 death at one point, but he wasn't making the plays in the mid to late game. And I fear that for WorldEdit, this is going to be the same situation this time around. And you have to be looking for the plays when you're Kuang.
And you see falling behind to the Serqet. He's got 3 kills, comparatively speaking, to Serqet's 1. Sure, Serqet's got 2 of the assists, but really what it comes down to is you're seeing a lot of WorldEdit hanging out on the wings, hoping somebody pushes off their tower. And it just doesn't happen. And that's been the problem for WorldEdit so far. At some point, he's got to realize that those kills aren't coming, and especially playing an Kuang has to just return to the farm.
But to be fair, Dignitas have some really good vision control around this Gold Fury. 2 sentries shutting down any sort of rotation from WorldEdit. Can't really be looking for the invades on the left-hand side, so he's going to have to looking for the solo lane, but Ducky has been just so good about being ever so careful because the tier transitioning into these team fights, it's just going to be outweighing MoGoW on this Erlang Shen.
Again, Ducky just reads it right. Walking over that deep ward, WorldEdit can't really make the play, so instead they'll just go ahead and clear out the blue buff.
Both teams just kind of figuring out what they really want to do next. Dignitas controls the Gold Fury vision, but they don't want to pull the trigger to start this objective. They're not really that much in the lead, despite themselves now getting the gold lead, about 1,000 gold at the 12-minute mark. They still feel confident that they can look for these picks around the jungle side, especially with Dardez not being that tanky quite yet. He's still level 10. He has Shoes the Mad Guy, has not completed his Hide of the Urchin yet.
Not just yet. We'll see what happens when that finishes off. Interesting situation for ShadowNightmare, however, what can you tell me about that build? Why is there a hole there in that second spot?
I think it was a tiny trinket that was started off. He sold it trying to complete off the Warlock Sash. The earlier that's completed, the earlier you can start stacking that, getting extra health, extra mana. It's going to also complement the damage that you really need to synergize with FrostiaK's ultimate.
Is that worth it to sell the tiny trinket?
I would say so. If we're finishing off Warlock Sash at this point in the game, absolutely.
Definitely an interesting approach. Gold Fury started and almost finished, to be honest with you. About 10%. eLevate get there far too late. Team Dignitas kind of just sneak one away from Team eLevate. That's going to give them about a 2,000 gold lead, just underneath it.
It was all about the vision control that Dignitas had earlier. eLevate just didn't seem to want to contest it. There's a bunch of little mini battles in Smite, whether it's positioning, warding battles, who's going to get the first initiation, who's going to get caught out of position. And eLevate, they lost that little mini battle for the vision control.
So it goes the way of Dignitas, just unable to really see it. And very quietly, this has been a very quiet game, I think. BigManTingz want to make some noise. Blinks right on in, gets 3 with the Ares ultimate. 2 pulled, and there's the follow-up damage, but the rotation out of the solo lane is big. nulisa has to jump away under safety of the tower, and there from the backside comes Jermain. Can't find the kill out of the mid lane, and the jungle assassin combines with the Anhur. The snipe's not on board. ShadowNightmare gets smoked, but the Sanctuary lasts just long enough for gobble it up.
WorldEdit, though, he takes one up into the sky. He could land onto FrostiaK on the side. MoGoW, he's going to try to chase it down, but safely ambushing away so far. It's a 2-for-1 in the favor of eLevate. If they want to, they could start looking for some of these towers. MoGoW now going into the solo lane.
Very interesting. You know, I like the switch from eLevate to try something different, but nulisa hasn't been able to have the same impact on this hunter. Ullr is a character that works very similar to a mage. He's ability-based and has a bunch of AoE, but the AoE isn't as large as I think nulisa is used to. And you see her down there on the bottom of the player damage. Even after the giant scrum there in the mid lane, she was forced out very early and unable to really find the hits. I like the change, and I like to see the God pool expand. But right now, it's just not working out.
So we talk about the engages, and then we talk about the counter engages. It was a great initiation from BigManTingz earlier on, finding 3 people with the no escape. However, the shell being used by Dardez negated a lot of the initiation damage from Dignitas, which allowed the rest of eLevate to really clean up with all the abilities being down, as well as nulisa holding onto her relics as long as she did, got her out of trouble. And the fact that Jermain, he actually barely died there. The Serqet ultimate with the Desert Fury from Suntouch had to be just spot on. And the Sanctuary just bought him a little bit more time to find that kill.
And I mean, the fact that he got ShadowNightmare with the ultimate, certainly a big play right there. There's aggression onto Jermain this time around. Zigzag into the ultimate, and he's toasted. Ladies and gentlemen, FrostiaK and Suntouch putting on a clinic. I mean, combined, these guys are 2, 2, and 6. Think about that. They have been involved in basically every team fight, every kill that Dignitas has been a part of. I love to see that sort of combination.
Just no vision control, again, from eLevate to spot out this rotation from FrostiaK. Even being able to blink over the wall is such a huge factor. BigManTingz, he's still looking for an aggressive play. His blink is available.
WorldEdit is going to combine with Dardez, looking at ShadowNightmare under the tower. Love the ultimate. The ultimate throws Shadow up in the sky. That gets him shot twice by the tower and allows the finishing blow to come through. Unfortunately, Dardez gets ulted as well, so it's a 1-for-1.
Great patience from BigManTingz, waiting for the Sobek lurking in the water to nearly finish right until that point. That's the one advantage that BigManTingz has, to kind of wait out that ultimate and guarantee the pull afterwards.
BigManTingz is a player that has really fit into this Dignitas lineup fantastically, and a prime example of when people say, hey, how do you get involved in the SPL? How do you get noticed? How do you wind up on a team? BigManTingz is the perfect example of a guy that just sort of played really well, played some ranked, played a little bit here and there, played on Challenger Cup teams, and he rose through the steps. He was on a lower-seeded team, then a mid-seeded team, now finding his way onto Team Dignitas, like I said, fitting there really, really well.
You know, you play some ranked here and there, you join their comm servers, you know, you hang out with the crew every now and then, you know, you play these in-houses, and that's how you specifically really get known out there. So anytime there's a sub position, you get your opportunity, you show what you really got, and then from there, you get your starter spot.
And one of the things that I like about BigManTingz is as Dardez serves up FrostiaK under the tower, almost thought we would have saw a kill. Not going to be the case. It's that BigManTingz has a very classic support style.
Jermain, though, he went into the sky trying to pick off FrostiaK, but a great positioning going on the right-hand side, the solo, recognizing that the potential threat of a kill was there from Jermain.
And just final thought on BigManTingz, that classic support style allows him to be effective on multiple teams. The plug-and-play ability from him when he joined Fnatic, despite their poor record, and now on Dignitas doing well, he is just effective on so many different squads, doesn't have a unique play style that needs to be with somebody else. He just plays support, and that's wonderful for his position, and it's been working out very strongly for Dignitas.
And he's a very good shot caller, I would say, being in the front line. He recognizes when he can go in and when he needs to make the plays. We see him on the screen right there at the bottom right, and he's just so confident, I would say, in such a short amount of time.
Exactly. That's really what's impressed me the most, is how quickly he's gone from nobody to rookie to established player, and has just been able to just be a part of the team and a part of the scene. And right now, Dignitas and his squad leading by about 2,000 gold. Keeping it even with the kills is eLevate. But unfortunately for them and their fans, they haven't been able to find the objectives or the stuff after the stuff, if you will.
MoGoW, though, he still wants to just hug this tower line for as long as possible. He doesn't have the vision control around the soul lane, so if they wanted to, FrostiaK could easily make the rotation, but that would leave Goldfear exposed, not really want to leave that big objective open around the 18.5-minute mark. eLevate could easily capitalize on that one.
Nice little grouping here in the mid lane. Almost thought we were going to see a scrum, but players are thinking about this Gold Fury and trying to get proper positioning. Dardez wants to make it happen, but there's BigManTingz. Dignitas going to start the fight, and it'll be dissuaded.
An ultimate being forced out of Dardez, as well as the purification out of WorldEdit. So overall, a great success, but it's the blink, which gets negated by Suntouch's purification. BigManTingz finding the chains, though.
And there's a nice stun out of nulisa. Long-range axe gets the hit necessary. And now team still dancing around this Gold Fury. There will definitely be a fight here for this objective, Tully.
BigManTingz, though, he got poked out quite heavily. No one from eLevate, though, is damaged at all, so they can easily take this team fight despite not having the purification from WorldEdit. All he has to do is just really be careful, allow the damage, but it's going to be FrostiaK blinking and forcing the purification from
Going
nulisa.
right on top. eLevate's here in trouble. Let's go to the Steel Series. Listen in as eLevate takes on Dig.
I literally pressed the wrong button.
Brother, put him. Raijin. Raijin, no dash. Right, MoGoW, yes, right, MoGoW. Go, Jermain. Oh my god. Left to it, MoGoW. I missed that. Just run, just so bad.
Come on! What's up, motherfucker? Back off, back off.
I don't need to back off here. I can run into you, actually.
Guess you're fine.
Don't die. Just run, John.
Anhur's gonna jump on you. Careful.
If he chains you.
Anhur's gonna jump. The tear's tanking, so.
So we rode along with eLevate there, but I think we heard Dignitas more than eLevate. They win the fight, and they certainly have a good time about it. And, you know, just a little bit of insight. eLevate lose the fight, but Gold Fury going to go the way of Dignitas here, unless Jermain has something up his sleeve, which he certainly has all weekend. I like Jermain's call right there. You can hear nulisa say, back up, back up. Jermain goes, I don't got to back up. I can fight 1-on-3.
He knows his limits right now, and we heard the comms coming out of eLevate. Once the teamfight started dying down, so did their comms, and that's why we got a chance to hear Dignitas. I think it was actually a Suntouch that was very happy in the distance that they were winning that one. They get the Gold Fury around the 20-minute mark as a result. They're riding off a little bit of momentum now, Dignitas. As long as they can continue this vision control, they can continue these little picks that they've been doing.
I mean, that right there, that broke the game wide open. eLevate fails to take the team fight, so Dignitas winds up on top, takes an objective as well with a nice 6,000 gold lead at the moment. Everybody's certainly feeling good.
It's going to be eLevate having to look for a play right now. They're leaning towards the solo lane. MoGoW has been constantly being aggressive, but WorldEdit hasn't been able to really find anything after his early 3 kills. He's found some picks staggered here and there, but no real big objective afterwards. It's Dignitas that have been controlling the objectives. They found a gold here for free around the 13-minute mark, and then after winning that last team fight, getting a second one.
I mean, eLevate seemed to, they got off to a rocket ship start, right? 3 minutes in, Jungler on top of the world, nulisa doing just as well. And then they got a flat. Something happened. Dignitas were able to take the wind out of their sails. Really, what was that moment that Dignitas just said, hey, the Kuang with 3 kills and Magi's boost, we don't care?
It just seemed that maybe WorldEdit was too confident, and Dignitas know what's on the line, so they are more focused, I would say, at this point. eLevate, maybe they've been checked out now because they're mathematically out of it. They can't reach the top 2 for Super Regionals, but Dignitas, they're still in contention. They want to be able to get these 2 wins and try to go over either Orbit or Sanguine.
MoGoW controlled by 2 different players still. Should generally be fine. Heals himself up after the poison comes down, of course.
Still waiting for the right opportunity. ShadowNightmare getting a little bit of poke, but it's not going to really matter right now. Both teams still grouping up around this tier 1 tower on the right.
A lot of presence from Dignitas on the right side of the map. 22 minutes in, I guess that's not surprising. It just feels like a much earlier game than it actually is.
With Gold Fury being down, this is a good opportunity to knock down this tier 1 tower real quickly. Maybe find somebody slipping around the jungle side. Jermain is kind of leading the charge. As a hunter, you don't really want to be this far forward. You could easily get collapsed on, especially by a Blink Serqet, Blink Tier, Blink Ares.
Yeah, I mean, so many blinks. I didn't even realize how quick that was. Of course, you've got the double blink on the side of eLevate. Dardez on this blink, Sobek, and then WorldEdit following it up with the blink as well. So many, many snap decisions will be made. And I think that's why we see these team fights sort of come and go in an instant, is because Dardez blinks in, and then Ares blinks in, and in the snap of an eye, you see everything just go haywire.
It's all about trying to force out the relics off of your blinks, and I love the crowd control from Dignitas. Like we mentioned at the beginning of the game, between this tier, Ares, and Serqet, Dignitas have a lot of options to burn out these purifications, which gives them more of an opportunity for round number 2 in these team fights.
A little bit of an invade coming out of FrostiaK. Not going to be able to... There he is. Thought he wasn't going to be able to snatch it, but he does. Dardez makes his little bit of a retreat. So Dignitas get the invade on the speed buff. They also pick up the right side Harpies. Less consequential in the early game, but still providing a ton of experience and gold. And certainly going to help them out just a little bit. Those small wins are going to wind up being the telltale sign of a large win for Team Dignitas, who absolutely have to find some wins here.
With the goal lead, they have the vision control the whole game, it seems, at this point, despite the 3 deaths that they had earlier on. It's going to be very aggressive positioning around the soul lane. They're trying to catch out MoGoW, taking a little bit of poke, but in mid lane, BigManTingz taking some of his own.
ShadowNightmare going to be pressured out by Dardez, but it looks like that one's going to turn around. nulisa going to get jumped on. Nice juke maneuver out of the mid lane as the second team fight rattles on in the jungle. nulisa going to fall down for the count. FrostiaK on top of that one, and here comes the damage. WorldEdit takes one to the sky. Suntouch goes down, but ShadowNightmare makes sure that MoGoW pays, and the landing kill, double kill for the Dragon Man.
ShadowNightmare, though, he's very low. It's going to be a triple kill for WorldEdit unless he falls, but it's going to be the triple. Ducky, he's under the tier 1 mid tower, but the rest of eLevate, they want to slow things down. BigMan is right behind WorldEdit.
Oh, man.
What are you doing?
The absolute lazy bag. Staring at the wall, window shopping. Jiffy goes down. WorldEdit not going to be able to make it out. Dardez, very low here, likely to fall as well. And Dignitas able to clean that one up. BigManTingz with the big man plays. 5, 1, and 7 for the support.
Jermain trying to repeat his Penta performance, trying to find at least a cleanup kill. 4 of his teammates have died. He finds a 4th member dead for Dignitas. Overall, all things said and done, even trade. But eLevate do walk away with a tier 1 mid tower.
Jermain. I mean, this guy, even like things aren't going well. That was not a good team fight, but stick-to-itiveness is certainly a line on his character sheet. He's got the ability to stand there. I'm always going to go back. This is a story I'm going to tell for a long time. Back up. No, I can take 1-on-3. That is so Jermain. It's not even funny. This is actually a very big play. The Gold Fury goes the way of eLevate off of that kill from Jermain. So it wasn't just a VEL haha kill. That kill's very important. It allows that Gold Fury to come. That 5K gold lead gets cut short to a 3.5. 3.5 is a gold lead you can fight head-to-head into.
You got to respect Rama in the late game. BigManTingz, he got the kill onto WorldEdit earlier on. They thought that they can take on Jermain. He was a little low. The Fearless from Ducky was good, but he was low himself, so he had to back off. And there seemed to be that disconnect between Ducky and BigManTingz, and somebody had to get sacrificed. Fortunately enough, I'd rather sacrifice my support than the solo lane. So now eLevate, they're cutting their losses a little bit now. They're still in the game.
Absolutely. We certainly have a shot in this, you know, and it's funny. Before the Gold Fury, I pretty much thought it was curtains. But watching that Gold Fury go down, eLevate announced themselves fully back in the competition.
They still want to make a play, though. Dignitas, they're positioned with some really nicely positioned wards around the speed buff. Suntouch, though, he's backing off as the red buff has respawned.
It's almost going to be coming up, but here, Dardez again finds himself almost all alone. Tries to serve one up, but can't find it. Here comes WorldEdit from the left-hand side. nulisa misses the stun, and there's the flip back. ShadowNightmare is gone. MoGoW on the top side. There comes FrostiaK and Suntouch to answer right on back.
Just getting deleted is eLevate. Now MoGoW, he's getting aggressed on nulisa, forced away, but it's going to be FrostiaK chasing with a nice juke from FrostiaK, but executed into the sky. WorldEdit finds BigManTingz.
Nowhere for him to go this time around. Just hanging out. Gonna play defense and go right towards his own buff, knowing there's really not much he can do by himself to defend that tower. If he shows up, he's likely just gonna die. So just gonna go ahead and make sure that Dignitas can't farm their own jungle. Now that other players have shown up, WorldEdit gonna make the aggressive play. Can't quite confirm it. FrostiaK on that Serqet. Wiggles as ever.
Great taunt to prevent any sort of damage from WorldEdit, and now overall that was just a 2-for-2 trade. Both teams still kind of feeling each other out. It's so, I would say, very even despite this goal lead, because it's around the 28-minute mark. This 3,500 goal lead doesn't really mean much at this point.
Exactly. Once it grows into 5 or 7, that's when you're starting to look at basically 2/3 or a full item per player. But this 3.5, like I said, this is something that eLevate can take to the bank and fight head on, just directly to the opposition. So we're looking at eLevate right now, and I don't know if I call it quite even, but it's something that eLevate can certainly fight.
The problem right now for eLevate is the non-tankiness, I would say, coming out of MoGoW. He's relying really heavily on getting that perfect ultimate for the sustain, and sometimes it's not always as reliable as you would think. It takes about 4 seconds to get that sustain, so going into the Executioner and what looks to be the Shen size right now could hurt the front line for eLevate.
Yeah, it certainly will be on the mind of everybody else. Dardez getting poked out just a little bit.
That was 3 hits and an impale, and now Dardez, he gets crippled. He has nowhere to go except for the ultimate, and now the Lawbringer not able to find the kill.
Jermain going to roll forward as well. Dignitas now, it's a 5-on-4 essentially. Dardez doesn't die, but certainly in some trouble. WorldEdit tries to get aggressive. Suntouch is too low. Sky's up, but immunes the shots. Well played by Sunny.
And I like the target switch from Jermain, recognizing that the Sanctuary was used by Suntouch, just trying to poke out FrostiaK in the process. Overall, not losing anybody was so important for eLevate. I truly thought Dardez was gone for sure there.
Same. Just able to wiggle out. Jump for jump. nulisa going to get ulted by the Serqet and zigzagged. Taken down FrostiaK with the 1-on-1 kill and the bonus Harpies.
Just not having the Purification or Sanctuary at the time. Great recognition from FrostiaK. And now a 5-on-4 power play for Dignitas. They're going to position themselves around the right-hand side. Fire Giant is a good objective now for them.
BigManTingz gets both players with the chains. Just another day at work. ShadowNightmare in some trouble. Has to Shadow Crash away. There's the knockup onto Jermain, and the ultimate out of Suntouch is immune! While ShadowNightmare deals with a different problem on the right-hand side, Dardez falls down to his direct opposition, Mr. BigManTingz, and MoGoW finally able to put a cork into ShadowNightmare.
Nobody was peeling for ShadowNightmare. Now Ducky's left alone against Jermain, finally getting the return kill onto MoGoW. 3 for 1 so far. Dignitas, they could continue on to this aggression, but Ducky is a little low. He does have teleport if he wants to, and that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to have Ducky teleport towards middle. They should be able to get this tier 2 mid tower.
FrostiaK has been completely on point this game, which, as I pointed out before, is not always the way things go, but FrostiaK making it happen. Jump away is Suntouch. Jermain's going to get pulled, rolls away. Very important play right there.
I'm surprised that Jermain lived, but it doesn't because Ducky comes from the backhand side. Tier 2 tower falls, Jermain falls. Dignitas, they're slowly but surely rebuilding the lead that they got earlier on.
Yeah, let's take a look at the graphs here. You know, I said 5K gold might be a little bit of an issue. Well, you're looking at 6,300. That's certainly a big one. nulisa is just getting abused by this Serqet.
Just barely able to survive that one. I like the fact that she held on to her Sanctuary. She knew the damage output from FrostiaK ultimate was not enough to find the kill, only using the Purification here. So now, Dignitas, they could go again once that ultimate comes back up.
We'll take a look at that. We'll see how that one works out. Again, FrostiaK has been absolutely on point. It's good, and it's a good thing, too. FrostiaK's been very successful, and then BigManTingz has been very successful, which is very important because ShadowNightmare has been anything but. It's one of the few games that we've seen him this weekend really not been able to really shine the light for the rest of his team. 2, 5, and 9. I won't say it's been the worst game we've seen. The 9 assists is something that a lot of people tend to ignore. He's been active in these team fights in a very big part, but he's also found a slew of deaths.
The problem is he's been getting chased in the backline, at least in the last team fight. Nobody was peeling for him.
Exactly.
But he still gets off the damage that he needs, and Dignitas just completely control this Fire Giant. Nobody from eLevate here to respond.
It was just too quick. The Fire Giant, as soon as it was started, seemingly fell down. Nice stun on the MoGoW. Dardez going to interrupt Suntouch as he tries to poise the assault. Ducky gets a kill in the jungle, and Dignitas going to keep it coming up the right-hand lane.
eLevate are just too spread out right now. WorldEdit was left alone, gets completely picked off. Suntouch was fine in that 1v2 spot, getting off a lot of damage to not only Dardez, but also onto the solo lane. Just nothing for MoGoW to really do. And now it's Dignitas with a 5-on-4 play with Fire Giant. They're going for this right side Phoenix.
You know, this game has been relatively quiet here for Dignitas, just slowly amassing these leads. eLevate make a lot of noise in coming back, and then Dignitas slowly amass up a lead again. Individual picks here or there, sneaky Fire Giants, sneaky Gold Furies. It's really eLevate making all the noise, but nobody's really listening.
Well, there's nothing sneaky about this push down the mid lane right now. Suntouch just chunking away at that Phoenix and eLevate. They don't want to engage with WorldEdit still being dead for 10 seconds.
It's just not enough defense. This mid lane Phoenix is going to go down as well. And just like that, Dignitas moving on, going to head to the left tower. It's the last tower alive before Team eLevate.
This is such an important position for Dignitas. They need to win this game. If they lose both games, they're mathematically out as well. So this game is do or die for them.
Gold Fury will be started by Team Dignitas. They've already got a huge lead, over 10,000 gold in their favor. Gold Fury is going to push that even more so, all the way up to about 12K. Very large lead for Team Dig.
A lot of gold in hand as well. Over 2,000 for 4 members from Dignitas. Just going to back off, spend all that gold in hand, because essentially all that extra gold lead that they have is sitting in their pockets, not in their items.
Yeah, you know, that's something that we only see the Gold Fury because Dignitas is going back to base. If the option was to keep the siege up, then we see the tower come into play. But because they're going back to base, the quick pit stop at the Gold Fury is certainly something they can do. They get the drive-by gold, and they're going to go ahead and back up and basically clean up their builds. You see full build all the way for FrostiaK, full build all the way for the solo lane. Pretty much the same thing in all of the positions. Sans the mid lane, and really the core of the damage build for ShadowNightmare is done. He's just waiting on a little bit more protection. So full build across the way, down for Dignitas and eLevate. They're going to be fighting into a very powerful black and yellow.
It's still Fire Giant for about a minute and a half for Dignitas, and that's why they went for the goal here. They know just how much time they really have to continue this onslaught to get this last remaining Phoenix on the left-hand side. Ducky just going to take this tower. He's just extremely tanky compared to MoGoW right now. Going for this Witchblade Executioner chin size, there's not that much frontline despite only having 3 deaths.
Dignitas, they've got 1 push. And they've got 1 point of defense. It's this left side Phoenix. Let's listen in to Team Dignitas as they make their final push for their game.
Alright, just shuffle it up. Wait, as soon as someone appears on left, we go. No?
And Frosty's waiting to go in mid as well.
Yeah.
Because I cannot go here because they've already gone. The breathe. I don't want to go on our. I'll poke him. Oh, you can escape. He noticed you. I don't want it to clear.
Yeah, let's push him now.
No. Alright, look at left, guys, look at left. We can head this next wave to wave. 100%. We got 20 seconds left G, so it's just perfect time. We still have enough G for
yeah, I'm missing them on alright, left go. Yeah, good now. Alright, watch out. I take a bit.
I'm gonna get flipped. I'll come beat.
It's fine.
And he ulted.
Okay, run.
Can we go on Rama? I have to run. Watch out for Rama. Oh, she got me.
Yeah. Reset. Can you go like that?
Oh, I'm freaking fearless. Careful.
Oh, reset. Oh.
Reset.
Get out.
I
don't get why we haven't Ares here at all. Like, we gotta do it at some point.
I'm dead.
Okay. Come on, guys. Like, we need to get that Ares ult. Come on. What? Let's use it. Okay. Like, all 3 or 4 people, like, their group is free. Like, let's get it.
It was fine. Frosty just died.
It's just so hard if you don't ult. But when
it was fine. I changed Sobek. They backed off. It's just Frosty got killed.
Right.
Well, I framed that as Dignitas' final push, but eLevate had something to say. And again, for the second listen in a row, brought to you by SteelSeries. Well, we hear more of the other team than actually the one we're listening to.
The problem was Dignitas just waited too long, and now BigManTingz, he's getting caught out as well. That's not the right timing because Firegiant has just respawned. Now it's going to be eLevate in position to easily secure this objective unless ShadowNightmare has something to say about it. Now, Dignitas, they waited too long. They didn't wait. They didn't go with the minion wave, so they tried to force it. Just all the abilities were used. No response whatsoever. FrostiaK getting bursted right away by WorldEdit.
You know, it's interesting. I intentionally picked that point where we were just waiting. I wanted to see how Dignitas were planning out that attack. And you heard them say, they said, all right, that wave wasn't the one we wanted because they were toying around with mid and left. And they said, all right, next wave 100% is the one we're going into. And they seemed to jump the gun. They went a little bit before the wave, the one that they called. They specifically made the call on the minion wave, and they go a little bit too fast, and then you see individuals drop.
The problem was they only had Fire Giant for 20 more seconds. If they waited for that minion wave to come, they would only have the buff for about 5 or 10 seconds. They wanted to get the objective damage that Fire Giant gives you onto that Phoenix. Now, they don't get the left side Phoenix, and as a result, eLevate's middle and right Phoenix respawn. They get the Fire Giant buff themselves, and now they're in the driver's seat because of the hesitation from Dignitas.
And here's the wonderful thing. We've been harping, well, I mean, Smite is all about the gold lead, right? Your itemization and how you make that work out. Well, here, we're approaching 40 minutes on the clock. And ladies and gentlemen, this 9,000 gold lead, it just don't matter. eLevate now, they're not looking up at this giant Goliath while they're playing David. It's Goliath versus Goliath. Everybody basically full build.
It's going to be a base race. Dignitas, they want to try to end the game here. They know that eLevate is going to the left-hand side. Did they get spotted out, though, over a ward? I don't see it quite yet.
So Dignitas win this base race despite the Fire Giant. eLevate realize that, they're all going to back.
Great sneaky play, at least grabbing the middle Phoenix, and now they're going to back off. There is no mobility between Giannis or the Amaterasu to really catch up to Dignitas. What a well-calculated, thought-out play. Great shot calling from Dignitas.
Yeah, fantastic decision-making coming out from the squad. Here's the turnaround. Suntouch gonna fight into it. There's the Ares play that Suntouch was looking for. MoGoW gets pulled and ShadowNightmare just barreling down the damage. Not gonna be enough, but again, FrostiaK finds nulisa on the backside. Ducky slapping her around as well. Ultimate out of the ROM, looking for FrostiaK. Not gonna find it. Dardez gets one. nulisa gets another. Well, ShadowNightmare answers back. MoGoW down for the count. It's a 2-for-1 in the favor of eLevate.
eLevate, they're still aggressing. They have the Fire Giant. Dardez trying to find the pluck, trying to find any sort of additional kills for his team. They lost the middle Phoenix, and now nulisa's trying to catch that out. BigManTingz with some nice chains to slow down Dardez.
And the 2-for-1 for eLevate's favor, like we said, the mid lane was chased out. nulisa got really controlled by the solo lane Ducky, but that's the beauty of that Fire Giant. A little bit of sustain. She's got an Aussie as well. One wave clear, she's back to full HP. eLevate, 4 members strong, pushing up. 30 seconds for Dignitas to be a full-fledged 5-man squadron. eLevate pushing up this mid lane tower.
Oh my God, nulisa just got deleted completely, too far forward. Dardez was trying to tank the Phoenix on the right. nulisa was overexposed on the left. All the abilities dumped onto her, and now this completely negates eLevate's push. They had a 1-man advantage, but now it's gonna be Dignitas with the advantage once FrostiaK and Ducky respawn.
And right now, just a matter of seconds, here they are up and ready. Dignitas shading over the right-hand side. No Fire Giant, obviously, to be taken, but the right side of Phoenix is half HP, half power, and ready to be taken. eLevate still have 2 members, or 3 members rather, with the Fire Giant. And the fact that Jermain and WorldEdit are 2 of those 3 is actually a very big deal for this upcoming engagement, but it's just for a small amount of time.
It's all about the Soul Reaver onto WorldEdit. He can find any member of Dignitas here out of position and instantly burst him down. Or he could be spoon-fed a kill, maybe from Dardez, if he finds the right pluck opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, WorldEdit right now is the give me a target and they will be deleted character. Dardez comes in with the blink, trying to flip, but doesn't get it thanks to a purification out of Suntouch. Again, Jermain's the target this time around. FrostiaK on the backside. ShadowNightmare combines with the jungle to take him out. Firebird goes down. There's 2 down, only 1 left. And it's all the way on the other side of the map, on the left.
Jermain is dead for a minute. Fire Giant respawning in 45 seconds. This gives Dignitas a window to maybe make a play. It's going to be a blink chain onto nulisa. She doesn't have the relics to get away from this one.
She's trying to get away. Nice hit of the relic, but it's just not enough. ShadowNightmare able to put that one down for the count, combined with the rest of the squad. And all 5 players for Dignitas looking pretty good.
Suntouch, though, he got caught alone. He tried to be so greedy. He almost picked off Dardez, but now Suntouch falls. But regardless, they spot enough time for Dignitas to grab this last remaining Phoenix, the failed objective earlier on that almost cost them the game.
Still rough stuff for Team Dignitas. If Suntouch is alive right now, we might even see another team fight into a push for the win. Because of the dead Hunter, that's the majority of your objective damage. Got to go ahead and back up. ShadowNightmare, no ultimate. FrostiaK, not exactly the #1 guy to kill a Titan, so when it comes down to it, you absolutely need that late game Hunter power.
The Suntouch respawn timer is almost synced up with nulisa, so it's not the worst thing in the world. It's separating themselves to about 10 to 11 seconds. The Fire Giant has respawned, but eLevate, they can't really leave their Titan exposed with all 3 Phoenixes being down.
Exactly.
Dignitas can maybe sneak one in, or maybe keep going for these Phoenix sneaks that they've been doing.
eLevate, they're actually going to lose their mid Phoenix here. As soon as it
spawns. In the Titan room, actually. That Titan is going to take about 33% of its health if nobody responds.
And we're seeing Jermain respond. No, not even going to respond.
It's going to be nulisa respawning to be able to deal with the fire wave in the Titan room. With the mid Phoenix respawning not soon to follow, actually, the difference of the timer, but it's going to be Dignitas around this Fire Giant trying to find more additional picks. Dardez not in position for that chain.
Finally gets a little bit away. WorldEdit lying in wait. And this is, honestly, this is what he's supposed to do. Suntouch gonna get beat up in the alleyway, and WorldEdit just mugs him on the way to the Fire Giant.
Nowhere to go for Suntouch, but back to the graveyard, and now WorldEdit, he's trying to run away. He gets caught out. The Purification's being used as well as the Serqet ultimate. 1-for-1 trade at least.
Here's the question, Toli. Worth or nah?
Nah.
No?
Definitely not. You want to have the Kuang in these team fights. The burst damage is just too strong right now. And this favors Dignitas. I would rather trade my Hunter and now not have to worry about the Kuang assassin.
Jermain got caught mid-roll by the chain. Over the top comes the solo lane. There's the damage out of ShadowNightmare's ultimate as well. BigManTingz gets a pull. And the Sanctuary onto Jermain is good for the moment, but not good for the long. There's a hit, and down he goes. FrostiaK on the good side.
Not able to find that important pluck onto FrostiaK. However, he did have the Purification just in case. The blink from BigManTingz crippling MoGoW. The damage. Ducky needs to find the Fearless here, but a nice stun from the Mantle of Discord, keeping him alive for now.
This could be it. MoGoW falls down. eLevate's got 2 players. It's Dardez and nulisa. nulisa doing a good job of chasing down ShadowNightmare and cutting him down with the axes. Now it's got 3 players on the side of Team Dignitas. They're getting ready, and they're pushing in. The Order Titan in trouble, but eLevate playing good defense. 25% on the objective, but there's just too much damage out of Team Dignitas. Down it comes, and down it goes.
Just too much fire minion wave to really handle for eLevate, and now it's going to be Dignitas winning the first game in a surprising factor. They needed this win so badly if they wanted to get into that top 2 position.
Look at them on the screen right now, Tully, though. If I had to venture a guess, I don't think the guys on Dignitas are all that thrilled about the play.
It was sloppy. I'm not going to lie. They couldn't close it out as cleanly as they wanted to. They're still very demoralized, I would say, but they have to sweep that game under the rug. They have to go into game 2 with a clean mindset, despite them winning, because that left side Phoenix Siege almost cost them the game with their hesitation.
Absolutely. You know, they couldn't really figure out where to go, and at the end of the day, eLevate's still a very dominant team when it comes to the individual play, something that I think they discovered themselves this weekend. eLevate still putting up a fight, but unable to bring it home for Team Dignitas. A lot of stuff to talk about with this one. Analysts, break it down.
Really long game there between the 2 of them, and it was a back and forth encounter as well. Obviously, start of the game, eLevate got off to a flying start.
I think this was a game of individual plays and individual mistakes. WorldEdit specifically, coming out for eLevate, obviously had such a phenomenal start. Got what, 2 kills on the line, got a 3rd for his team as well. FrostiaK very far behind, but after that, he just started backing in really awkward positions, staying too, like, going back to that last engagement at the Fire Giant, like, that was the best play we had seen, right? Suntouch coming down to the Fire Giant, the rest of Dig kind of surrounding it. He had no idea WorldEdit was there, picks him off, great spot for eLevate. All he needs to do now is reset back to his team. Instead, he kind of just hangs around. around. He has his blink up, he has his water illusion up, and he just waits too long to use either of them, gets chained, then he has no option.
Follow that up for me, Taco, because Kevin's saying there it looks like an individual mistakes, individual plays. We saw a lot of individual plays from eLevate. Mistakes, though, were mainly from Dignitas in my eyes as a team.
Yeah, you can tell by the end how the looks on their faces. They weren't 100% satisfied with their gameplay. They know that they can definitely bring it better, and I think they're really going to step it up in the second game as well, because they can tell that eLevate, even though they're out of the tournament, like they're not really ready to give up at all. And people might call me biased for this as well, but honestly, I think that FrostiaK and Suntouch's Impels were like super on point.
Completely biased. No, but they really were, to be fair. Frosty and Suntouch having phenomenal games. The big thing for me with Dignitas is I'm going to talk about their comms. They did a really good job of recovering from the early game kind of like hustle, which is a sign of a good team. A lot of teams will fall apart when situations that don't typically happen in games just occur, with like they out Kuang picking up a double kill, everyone running across the map, do a good job of regrouping, resetting themselves. But then that Phoenix Siege on the left-hand side, and you heard the comms afterwards. It wasn't calming where everyone's like, okay, we messed up. How are we going to change this? It was a lot of blame games, and you can't have that here at this LAN when every game is so critical for you.
But with all these games being so critical here as well, I mean, that's why you can see on their faces they look downtrodden, more so because they know they've still got to beat eLevate one more time, then walk into orbit to make sure they still control their own destiny.
Yeah, see, I think that's the main reason why they're feeling a bit disappointed with this gameplay, and even with their comms as well, is because they know that, sure, this can close out a set and, like, you know, a game or two against eLevate, but at the same time, is this gameplay good enough against orbit? And I think for that, that's why they're really beating themselves up over it, but I think they're going to be ready.
I think